Net decking. As long as there is a card game, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic or Pokemon, it will happen. It's both fortunate and unfortunate. It's fortunate because it gives a player who wants to try a certain type of deck something that they can look to and sort of see, oh, I can play the Madolches this way, or I can play Gustos this way, or I can play E-Heroes with this card instead of this card. Oh, I'll try that out. And that's really cool. It lets you expand what your card pool effectively as to what you can use in your deck. And that's fine. What I don't like about it is when people copy decks card for card, barely understand what the deck can do, and then say, OMG, this deck sucks. And when in actuality, it really doesn't suck. It's just you don't know what you're doing, but you give up on that archetype and you think it sucks. And then you start yelling and screaming about how, if you ever face that deck, your opponent has clearly luck-sacked you for when they just knew the deck better. I mean, you can't expect to pick up a deck and understand its intricacies 100%. You can't expect to know the optimal play until you have done plays wrong. You need to be willing to experiment with the deck. Maybe instead of MSTing your own face-down artifact, you decide to let it sit there for a bit or two. And instead MST the enemy's face down. You need to be able to understand that you are different than the person who built the original deck. And so you have to understand how they play. Which brings me to another point. If I get another question about what is the best deck to play in Yu-Gi-Oh!, I am probably going to shoot somebody. By that question is just inane and stupid on so many levels. Best in what way? What do you want to do? Do you want to, say, OTK a person with Quasar or whatever? Do you want to build a fusion deck and use Elemental Heroes to just get 1,000 fusion summons going at once? Do you want to play defensive? Do you want to play stun? Do you want to lock down an opponent? Do you want to burn an opponent? Do you even want to play Exodia? By the way, if anyone plays Exodia, go shoot yourself. I mean, when you say what is the best deck, what are you talking about? Seriously, what do you mean? Do you mean best to win? In which case, what win condition? Do you mean best to have fun with? And again, that's really up to you. And it's really difficult to understand how people think that there is a one trick, one way to win deck, or a deck that will win 100% of the time. Newsflash, there isn't. Stop thinking that there is. It just is annoying, really is, to hear people constantly complain and say, oh, my deck is bad, or that deck can't be the #1 deck. And why can't a deck be fun? Why can't you figure out a deck that you want to play? Why do you have to come to someone else who might have a completely different style of play than you and ask them what the best deck is when you should have at least a grain of intelligence to figure that type of thing out? It's not hard to look at a card or understand a card game, at least the basic concepts of it, like card advantage, field advantage, graveyard activations, multiple use, versatility. It's not hard to see if a card's versatile. It's not hard to see if a card is even good. I don't think anyone thought that Chaos Emperor End Dragon was a bad card, and I don't think anyone here thinks that Super Polymerization's a bad card, and I don't think anyone thinks that Monoleak is even remotely fair early game. It's really astonishing to me that people still ask that question. What is the best deck? I just don't understand it. If you're looking for a deck to play, you should ask yourself the questions that I said earlier. What do you want to do? Now, for me, I've played a lot of different decks, mostly because I like playing different styles. But I know my preferred style is a more control/stun variant, if we're talking Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm also a blue player in Magic. Yes, you could kill me later. It's really kind of interesting, though, because I've seen people who I know like play aggressive try different things, and that's fine. And then they go back and say, oh, that deck is not my way of playing, and that's fine. You can play the game however you want. If you really want to be that guy and play a burn deck, go right ahead and be that guy and play a burn deck. As long as you're having fun, can't say the same about your opponent, but as long as you're having fun, do it. But you really should be starting to try to figure out what your style of play is. Do you want to be that guy that has 1,001 special summons and could swarm the field? Do you want to lock down the opponent and control the field? Do you want to just prevent the opponent from ever even being able to play a card and go for an FTK? Do you want to just have so many ins and outs that you can play against any deck? At least with a degree of efficiency. Once you understand what your own personal style is, it becomes way easier to grasp what you really want to do. And I don't want to say that people are uncreative or stupid or anything, but it feels like people are just lazy when it comes to deck building. I keep seeing the same things over and over again. Once a deck tops at YCS, everybody wants to play because they think that they'll do the same thing. They're going to be the next person to top with it. And they might. I'm not going to say that they aren't. But then when the deck does poorly, they wonder why. When it might not be that the player is unskilled, it's just that they're not the right player for the deck. For instance, I've played Quick Draws, and I've played Gustos, I've played 6 Sams, and I've played a whole bunch of stuff. And while it is fun to drop Quasars or Shooting Star Dragons first turns and then OTK a person because you revealed 5 tuners turn 1 after you top deck Dark Hole and Heavy Storm, that wasn't really me. I had fun with it, and I enjoyed it. But I knew for a fact that I was probably making wrong plays, and I knew for a fact that I was just playing it wrong because I wanted to play it a certain way. And I'm putting wrong means that I'm not making the optimal play. I'm doing the play that made the most fun for me. And that's fine. But once I understood what I wanted to do, which was control the field, I was able to sort of figure out a deck that suited me. Or rather, I found an archetype that I really enjoyed. In this case, in my case, I should say, the Gustos. So, I'm not going to say that neck decking is the Bane and Satan's Spawn and all that stuff. But when you net deck, understand that you're not going to win every game, even if that person went undefeated at every tournament it ever played, or topped YCS, topped every single event it went to. Understand that that's not going to happen. Because you're different than the person that built it. That person understood that deck better than you did, at least at first, until you start getting some games under your belt. They understood it because they built it. They built it because they liked the way that those cards work together. And until you understand that, how they think, and as long as if it doesn't match up with how you think, you're not going to do as well as them. People need to figure out their style. And until you figure out your own style of play, you're going to be doing poorly. Or at least not as well as you could if you had a style that you really liked, or really enjoyed, and really understood how to play that way. I understand how to play a control style. I know how to make plays. I know how to make a judgment call. And know when I should compulse the enemy's XYZ, or when I should just wait a moment and wait for a later opportunity when they might make a bigger play. I know how to manipulate Kaiser Coliseum or Black Garden so that it doesn't mess me up and instead shoots down my opponent's plays. I know how to get out of a control situation when I'm playing a faster deck, yes, because of my experience of actually playing those decks. And, again, another thing that also kind of annoys me. When people say a deck is OP. Now, I have been accused of using an OP deck in Gustos, and I'll admit if there was ever an argument to say that Gustos are OP, or ever a time to call Gustos are OP, you have the biggest argument right now because Parika is a card, or Pilika, or whatever they're calling it in English. Because Freeze is so easy to bring out now, it is such a game changer. Any card that can change the way a person has to play, like Freeze does, or Kaiser Coliseum, could be deemed an OP card. And I use the term OP very loosely, because OP means that it should win every time. And I lose quite a few games. And I love losing, actually. I often love losing because it's more fun. That means that the game was ideally close. Or I figured out that there was a big weakness and I know what I need to avoid / fix in my deck. Again, getting back to the whole style thing, I can adjust my play style against that deck. But if a deck is really giving you a whole lot of trouble, why not try it? If you understand what each card does, because you know what a person will, how to play the deck, you'll be able to anticipate what a person will do. And that will give you the edge you need. For instance, one deck that I've always had issues with, would be Elemental Heroes. Fortunately, one of my closest friends loves the Elemental Hero, so I got a lot of practice against the Elemental Hero's future fusion / super polymerization / everything that makes Elemental Heroes really annoying. But I also played various Elemental Hero decks. Why? So I could understand how each build could work. Or at least get a basic enough understanding that I'm not caught off guard when they suddenly Gemini spark their own alias and blow up my face down and then draw a card and then go super polymerization with the cards in their hand and then just go ham from there. I'll be able to see that coming. I may not be able to do anything about it, but I can predict what their play is going to be. Again, play a lot of decks, but understand you're not going to do well with them. I know for a fact there are many better Elemental Hero players than I am. I know for a fact that I recently started trying to play Fire Fist and Fire Kings, but I know I'm not doing the right plays all the time. I'm not doing the optimal plays because I haven't played them enough. And they're, quite honestly, not really my style. I also have delved into Mermails, and I didn't like those guys very much. I mean, they were fun and all, but they weren't my style. But I understand that they can do stuff, and I can't disregard them when I'm building a deck. Same thing with Elemental Dragons when they were stupid and had had the 3 baby dragons, 3 copies of each baby dragon, I'm sorry, and could just go ridiculous rank 7 plays. I may not like playing that way, but I understand how to play them, so I know when I should stop their play, or when I can when would the most optimal time be for me to react. I understand how to counter deck them. I understand how to side. I understand how to beat certain decks with different play styles. So, if you take anything for this video, take 3 things. 1. If you net deck a deck card for card, you're not going to do as well as the person who built it, at least not at first. 2. Just because a deck has beaten you doesn't make the deck OP. If a deck beats you, you probably made a mistake that the opponent was able to capitalize. In most situations. If you don't recognize that mistake, then you're just going to keep losing. Calm down and think it through. Think, when did I make a mistake? Analyze when you made a mistake, or maybe when you side decked wrong, or whatever. Understand that you are going to lose, and you learn more from losing. And 3, it's a game. Have fun. Find a deck that suits you. Change your style of play. Change out certain cards in the top tier decks and see what happens. Don't be a blind follower of net decking. Be willing to change what happens in your deck. Trade out cards. Try mixing different archetypes. One of my friends is currently trying to mix 6 Sams and Gustos. I don't know why, but he's having fun with it. Recently I've mixed Gustos and Quick Draws, which I'll show in another video. And I've had a lot of fun with that. Yet again, same friend earlier has also mixed Synchrons with Penguins. He has a lot of fun with that, and it works pretty well. Now, and the point is, I can't play that deck better than he can. I might have a better understanding of Synchrons than he does, but he built that deck. He knows the ins and outs of it. He understands how it works. It's his style of play. So, in short, get your own style, build your own deck, Look up on the internet to get ideas though for them. Don't be afraid to do that. A very confusing video, but I hope you learned at least a few things. And please don't ask me what the strongest deck is. I'm really getting sick and tired of getting that question asked to me. So, this is Gamer Ninja. Hope you're having a great day, and I'm signing off.